Afternoon, Tim. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Shabbar. I'm very well. It's just rained here in Bristol for about 3 minutes, which is the first rain we've had probably for a month. So that's
Yeah,
very exciting. Yeah,
for a timestamp. It's Monday, the 14th of July. This
yeah.
conversation, and we've been sort of in the midst of a heat wave, haven't we? So it's been really, really dry. My grass is bare.
Mm.
There's very little green on the lawn at the moment. So yeah, hopefully some of that rain will be coming across to us.
Well, hopefully not too quickly because we've also just been chatting about we're both cricket lovers.
Yes.
And as we speak, there's a very, very exciting last few hours of the third cricket test between England and India.
India.
So I hope you get rain, but not till 6:30.
Yeah, not till the afternoon, and
Yeah.
the wickets have tumbled. Great stuff. Okay, so this week I've got an interesting story, an interesting conversation that I had with a client, and he's a trader in the city,
Hmm.
and we're having this conversation around how he has good periods and bad periods. Good periods are generally when he's making money for the company, and bad periods are when he's kind of in the red, and his P&L, his profit and loss, is in the negative. And so
Hmm.
I was just curious and just talking to him about how he feels when this is going on. And he said something which really struck me. And that was around when his P&L is in the red, he suddenly starts to feel not very intelligent and
Hmm.
a bit stupid.
Mm.
And I've known this guy for quite some time, and he's a really smart cookie.
Mm.
I would never ever use the word stupid alongside his name. And I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here? Because when we dug a little bit deeper into this conversation, I was like, okay, so last year you were feeling stupid because you were in the red, but suddenly, things have turned, and the beginning of this year has been good. And so you've gone from being stupid to intelligent based on the fact that your performance and your number has changed. And I could see that he suddenly looked up and thought, yeah, hold on, that's really interesting. And so, yeah, let's dive into this.
Mm. Great. Yeah. So being intelligent and being stupid, and how does it get wrapped up with money or numbers? And does it need to? Yeah, great. It's a great topic, and it comes up quite a lot in the work I do. So it's not just traders. It's not just people whose work success or bonuses are directly associated with money decisions. It comes up a lot for lots of people. Let's start talking about the trader. And I don't know this person, but we can imagine. And then let's see if we can apply more generally for people listening these hidden ideas that, oh, well, if my money goes up, means I'm really clever. And if my money goes down, or maybe I lost money, or maybe I made a decision 5 years ago and I regret it, that means I'm stupid. I think a lot of people tie up these ideas of intelligence and stupidity with money. Well, I think you gave him a really great insight, didn't you?
I think,
I don't know how long this guy's been doing trading. How long roughly has he been in
oh,
the
I think he
industry?
must have been doing it for 10, 15 years.
Okay, so let's assume over 10, 15 years, there's going to be quarters while he's been up, and there's quarters when he's down, and years when he's up, and years when he's down, and years when he's up big, and years when he's down. Let's assume.
I'd imagine so.
Okay, because markets go up and down, and you have good streaks in any profession, and you can anticipate the market or not. Clearly, as you've pointed out, and he's begun to think about, that doesn't mean his stupidity goes up and down with the graph,
Well,
or his intelligence goes up and
obviously
down.
that was like, hello, you're intelligent kind of a guy.
So that's great. You saw that, you offered that to him because he's a smart guy. He could see it, and now he's kind of curious, right? About, okay, what's really going on? Did you go any further with him, or did you offer him anything else?
No, we didn't sort of dig deeper into it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, again, I don't know this person, but what we're saying as the basis for all of our conversations on this podcast, we're drawing again on the work of Peter Koenig, who really spotted something many years ago. There's something about money, particularly, that allows or makes it very easy for us to tie up or psychologically we say project parts of ourselves that we're not in conscious relationship to, or parts of ourselves we get a bit disconnected from or find troublesome, get tied up very readily with numbers. So if I experience that when my number goes up, I'm clever, smart, intelligent, and when my number goes down, I'm stupid, then what we're saying is, because remember, it's never about the money, there's something about this construct of my human stupidity and my human intelligence that I'm not really at ease with. There's probably two main ways of thinking about this. Maybe I don't really feel intelligent, even though clearly this guy is intelligent. So maybe even though I've got exams and I've got a big job and I've got a degree or whatever, maybe deep down, I don't feel intelligent. I'm not in touch with the sense of my intelligence. And here we're talking about a human quality. It's not really about exams or certificates, or certainly not about money. We're talking about an intelligence, a way the mind can work, right? If I'm not really in touch with that, maybe something to do with my upbringing or the culture I grew up into, or maybe I was told I wasn't intelligent, or who knows why, then I don't feel intelligent. And then I need to have that kind of proved to me. And because it's never really in the money, but I don't see that, I might be thinking, if money goes up, if line goes up, if bonus is high, that will make me feel intelligent.
Mm.
So one way I could be locked into that pattern is actually secretly I feel a bit stupid, or I don't feel intelligent. Even though everyone looks at me and goes, that's a really smart guy, I don't feel it. And I'm looking for the number as like an external validation or mirror of this part of me I'm not in touch with. So that's one possibility.
Yeah.
And I'll say the other, and then you can reflect either on the client or other people. The other is the opposite. I kind of do feel intelligent. I know I'm smart. Maybe actually I've invested a lot in my upbringing. Maybe when I grew up, people told me not, oh, you're really stupid, but actually they said, he's a really smart kid. He's going to do well. He's a bright guy. And maybe all my life, actually, I have been quite smart, and I passed exams and I got a good job. And now I'm a trader with lots of other very smart people. But maybe the thing that's been difficult for me to see is my beautiful human stupidity. Maybe I'm very invested in I'm the smart guy, and the side of me that can be stupid and make mistakes and just not understand situations, I'm not in touch with that. So it's rather the opposite. And if that was the case, I would do the same sort of behavior. I would I need to make money to keep proving I'm intelligent, because the worst thing is to feel stupid. I don't like to feel stupid. So there are two different ways. Either I secretly already feel stupid and I need the money to make me feel intelligent, or I don't think I'm stupid at all. I'm invested with being intelligent, and I want to avoid any feeling of stupidity. Either way, what we're saying is I'm a one-sided human. I'm identifying with one or the other, and I'm tying it up with money.
Mm.
And the resolution, the step, and we'll explore this in the rest of the conversation, is to see none of the numbers have anything to do with being an intelligent or stupid human. We're all intelligent in our own way and in different ways. And also, we're all really stupid. I speak for myself. I've done many stupid things in my life. I've been stupid in relationships. I've been a stupid parent. I've made stupid decisions with my work. I've not done things I should have done because I'm stupid. And it's okay, because I'm a human. So let me pause. We're not here, I think, to diagnose someone not in the podcast, but I've offered two views of how people might tie up money or a number with these deeper feelings of intelligence or stupidity.
Yeah, I think, just based on this scenario, I think it's definitely, from what I've interacted with this person, it's definitely the second. I think there's an understanding because of, the university, the degree, the job, even the standing within the community kind of thing as well. The perception is that this person is, without doubt, intelligent, switched on, or whatever adjective you want to use. And it comes back to this idea about, I can't remember, we've discussed it before, it's like about being whole. right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's just this inability of the human being to accept the other side. And we get caught then in this one sided trap. And the other thing is that it just seems like in all of these situations that money just becomes the easy proxy by
Yeah.
which you measure these things. And that's bizarre in one way, and that's what we're unpacking.
Hmm.
But it's just so easy to latch onto. Well, how do you then measure these qualities, which is what
Hmm.
we're trying to do when you're amongst your peers? Because how do you rank against other traders? Well, it's your profit and loss, and it's almost like it's almost like the league table, right? And you're constantly pitted against other people, and the way you show up in your job and you make money, I think for most people is like, yeah, well, I'm clever if I do it and I'm stupid if I don't.
Well, if you're a trader, not if you're a
Yeah,
teacher or a
yeah,
nurse or
yeah,
a gardener, or
yeah.
there would be
In the
other
realm of
ways.
in the realm of finance,
Mm,
I think it's
yeah,
a
that's
very
true.
default position.
That's true. And I think there's another conversation. Let's note it down on our list. There may be an interesting conversation about the whole world of finance, actually, because it's a particular culture. Because I'm thinking, as an aside, I'm looking out right now onto this park outside my house, and it's just rained, and the trees are going, oh, that's nice, bit of water. I'm thinking, if you're a gardener, you might be very intelligent. You might have memorized the names of lots of plants, and you might have lots of factual knowledge, but if you're a gardener, that you're going to make mistakes because you're dealing with nature, you're dealing with a living system. And so when you plant something and it doesn't grow, you don't go, oh, I'm stupid. You go, that's interesting. What happened there? What can I learn? Oh, that was a bit more shady than I thought, or I needed to plant it in a slightly different way or protect it. So different professions have entirely different attitudes about cleverness, intelligence, and also mistakes.
Mm.
And maybe I think you're right, humans are one-sided, or at least let me put it another way, because you said the inability of the human being to kind of have both sides. What I think you and I are talking about on this podcast is the more mature we are, or the more we develop as a human being, the more we can embrace both sides. So I can be intelligent and stupid. So
Yeah,
human beings can do it.
and I just think that in this sort of situation,
Mm.
specifically within jobs where where numbers and money is at the center of it,
Yes.
there's
Yes.
also this idea that if the numbers aren't good, then more than likely you lose your job.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah, and so I think that adds a layer of, okay, well, if my job's at stake and I lost my job, then it puts me in the stupid category, and I think that that's really difficult to get away from and break.
Well, it is. Let's break it down a bit, because you're saying some really good points. So let's go step by step, because of course it's true in those sort of trading investment environments. It's not my world, but I know a few people who've worked there. It is high pressure and you're paid a load of money, but if your performance is low, some of these companies say, right, our bottom 10% or
Yeah,
20% of performers each year, you're out. Still doesn't make you stupid, it just means you lost your job. But clearly the pressure is on. Let's go step by step. So what you said of this guy, I said, well, it may be that he doesn't feel intelligent and he secretly feels stupid, or he's very invested in his intelligence and he's always been a high performer, and it's hard to be in touch with the stupid side of his humanity that makes mistakes, gets things wrong. What you're describing, I sometimes call the sickness of the high performer, the sickness of the high performer. And there's lots of psychology around this. But I think it's true that a certain type of person who always has been smart and done well, and people have said, he's going to do well, or she's going to do well, or they've excelled and they've excelled and they've excelled, then what you create for yourself and what other people help you create is a persona, an image of yourself that's all about your intelligence and cleverness and sharpness, and has no space for your stupidity. And you're right, because of our school system and our society and many cultures, families, it's almost like it's rewarded. So, of course, so and so is clever, they're not stupid. And that's great because they're going to get a better job and more money and boom, boom, boom. And they're trading and they're competing. So if I'm not careful, I can be well into my adult life and very, very invested in this image of me being smart. And I might be smart, but it doesn't mean I'm also not stupid, right? A lot of smart people are also stupid. This is being both sided. But I might get to a point unconsciously where I'm so invested in the story of being one of the smart guys in the room that anything I do or anything that threatens this suggestion that I'm stupid suddenly becomes a real kind of red alert, puts me into a real vulnerable or apprehensive state.
Yeah, I would use the word like it starts to haunt you.
Starts to haunt me. Yeah. Well, it haunts me because it's part of who I am that I can't get away from, that I'm not seeing. So it is actually like a ghost. Anytime if we're using this language of being one-sided or both-sided, what we're saying is we always have these human qualities, but we don't see that we have it all. So that's absolutely right. If my whole life everyone's been, he's the smart guy, he's the sharp guy, he makes good decisions, you can see it because his numbers go up. It builds up one side, but I still have human stupidity, but I don't see it. And on the whole, other people don't see it. And, I get to think other people are stupid, not me. But I still have stupidity, which is a great gift, by the way. We maybe come on to that. It will literally haunt me. It's kind of hovering around there, but never quite named. If that's the case, and I'm not in touch with that side, then yeah. And in that industry, my number goes down. I will start to feel stupid. And by golly, I won't like it. I don't know if you've got a sense from this guy, not just that he feels stupid, but that's probably really, really stirs up quite a lot when his number goes down.
Yeah, I mean, just from the conversation, I think your just overall being gets like you're
Yeah,
drained, um,
yeah,
and life suddenly becomes very, very dark and very bleak
yeah.
because the numbers changed. And when we dug a little bit deeper, it was
Mm,
what's actually going on, and
mm,
the number changing translated into this opinion of himself as being stupid, which hence
yeah,
explains why his world suddenly
yeah.
becomes this smaller, very
Well,
uncomfortable place.
again, let's look at that closely. Because if I can really integrate that I already am stupid, then if I make a stupid decision, my world doesn't become dark
Mm,
and bleak. I just go, I've done something really stupid. Well, I
mm,
know I'm stupid, so it's not an existential threat. Now I still need to engage with the consequences of my decision. I still
mm,
need to figure a way out of it, or I still need to think, oh, I've got less money than I would have done, or I need to apologize to whoever I treated badly, or I need to just acknowledge my life's gone a certain way. But none of that means I have to feel dark and bleak.
mm,
I go, I did something stupid. Well, I already know I'm stupid, and I know I'm intelligent. It doesn't need to be dark and bleak. So if by becoming or having experienced my number goes down, I feel stupid, it feels dark and bleak. It's like there's a whole load of extra stuff, psychic, I don't mean spiritual, I mean like a psychological material that's tied up with that part of me that's stupid.
mm.
And that's what we can do something about. We can't stop people doing stupid things, nor would we want to. And we can't stop the fact that all of us are stupid, and that's okay. And we're all intelligent in particular ways. But we don't need to put on a load of bleak, dark
Mm.
heaviness around our stupidity, nor do we need to puff ourselves up when we're intelligent.
So I know that a lot of people will be wrangling with
Hmm.
something that you said, which is, oh well, stupidity can be a gift, right? You
Yes.
mentioned that, and it's like people
Yeah.
probably be like, that's just so contrary to like everything we're brought up with. Like, it's almost like I could probably even remember, you know, criticisms from when I was a kid about, "Oh, don't be stupid. What you did was stupid, right?" And it's like,
Sure.
and now, Tim's here,
Yeah.
and we're saying, "Oh, stupidity, is a gift." I'd like you to just sort of expand on that.
Yes. Well, maybe what I said was stupid, or maybe it was intelligent.
Who knows?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was both. Okay, great. It's a great question because you're right. Until we really examine this, we're one side or the other, right? Either we're with the story that I'm stupid, other people intelligent, and I condemn myself, I never get to be intelligent, or we're very invested in this sickness of the high achiever or the sickness of the intelligent person, which is I'm not stupid. And if I'm in that, how can stupidity ever be good? In this work, we've said this many times, below the label, in this case, intelligent and stupid, we're always saying the word is pointing to a way of being or a human capacity or a human potential that in itself is always useful when it's used consciously, right? When I'm able to use stupidity and intelligence in service of life, they're both good. But it doesn't seem like that sometimes because different labels feel
Mm.
judgmental or negative. So, off the top of my head, some way stupidity could be good. Well, one thing is, I think a lot of creativity is wrapped up in stupidity. In other words, until I'm able to make mistakes and try things out and risk things being completely wrong, I can't really experiment. So if I think if I'm a musician, right, I might be a very intelligent musician and I might be able to play scales perfectly correctly
Mm.
and play the notes correctly, but there's not much space for improvisation or creativity or finding something new. Well, as soon as I play a bad note or just do something that isn't the right way, 9 times out of 10, it might sound awful. And I might go, "Oh, that was stupid."
Mm.
But 1 times out of 10, I might go, "Ooh, that was interesting." So I think the capacity to be stupid, make mistakes, do things, inverted commas,
Yeah.
wrong, is bound up with being able to play, create, explore. So that's one
Yeah.
step. What I
And
say some more, but let me pause there.
yeah, just as you were saying that, when you think of the entrepreneurial journey, for
Mhm.
example, it's like,
Yeah.
well, some of the world's greatest inventors, entrepreneurs, etc. Well, if they hadn't been stupid, maybe would have never arrived at the thing that
Yes.
that brought the world a gift.
Yes. Yes.
So
I think that's right.
we look at stupidity in such a negative light, and I think maybe the word is just very loaded, but it's
Mhm.
like what you said, it's what would it be doing? It would be like trying something that didn't work out, or it was taking a risk, or doing something which
Yeah.
might not make sense in the
Yeah.
moment.
Or
um
maybe it didn't make sense. Maybe
yeah,
it was a bad decision.
yeah.
Another example I would use outside of money, I think in relationships, I speak for myself, and I look back, and there's a little twinge of pain or sadness, but only a twinge. I've done some stupid things in relationships. I've made some stupid
Mm,
decisions, right? So I could feel crushed by that, or I could use that, as you say, to be dark and bleak and heavy and self critical. And in some ways, I would say to you, well, I wish I hadn't done those stupid things. But I can also say, well, it was the best I could do at that time. And by golly, I learned a lot going through the consequences of my stupidity. And in some way, I genuinely believe I needed that on my life journey to learn something. So, another place I think stupidity is good is if we're not being stupid in some areas, I'm not sure how we're learning and growing, actually.
I've literally just come into that. There can be very difficult to grow if you don't make mistakes, and mistakes are
Ah,
often
yeah.
as the result of stupidity. So
Yes,
to be embraced, actually.
exactly. And so, stupidity is one is linked with creativity and discovery, the other is linked with growth. I'll offer one more
Mhm.
suggestion, which is silliness. So we're talking about big life decisions. So maybe I did make a decision I really regret in a relationship or a job decision or a money one. So that might carry some emotion, but I look back and go, wow, that was stupid. But somehow I went through the consequences of that decision. Might have taken some time and some pain. But wow, I really learned something now. I've really discovered something. I think we're often very grateful for those experiences, ironically. Another side where stupid is good is just to be foolish, just to not be serious. Because if I've got this sickness of the high performer and I'm so afraid or out of touch with my stupidity that everything has to be intelligent, often those people are quite uptight and they can be hyper aware or very, very thinky, but they rarely get to enjoy the pleasure of just being foolish, just mucking about or being a bit sloppy. Or again, when we're mucking about and we can be sloppy, consciously we make mistakes and sometimes we learn things and sometimes we regret. So another place that being able to be stupid, remember, we're not saying you're going to be stupid all the time. We're not saying you're going to be unconsciously stupid, but that energy makes me think a little bit about the Shakespearean fool, this
Right. Okay.
character in Shakespeare who in somehow is very silly, but also is very wise, or who
Okay.
isn't invested in being very intelligent, and therefore they often say the most intelligent things. There's a sort of a carefree, foolish nature. So they're just my suggestions. I would invite anyone listening to just pause and think, below the label, if to you stupid is really a bad word,
Yeah.
below the label, what could for you be good in the one who does get things wrong and does make mistakes and does do things that don't make
Mm,
sense? Can you find anything that's even 1 or 2% good in that? I would suggest if we can't, we're probably very bound up in a slightly uptight,
mm,
rigid way in ideas of intelligence.
yeah. I think that makes perfect sense to me. And I think, but it's a difficult thing for a lot of people, especially in numbers based jobs, to acknowledge and try and combat. I want to move the conversation on to something which is still linked, but this idea of intelligence and stupidity in the way I do money, because
Yes,
that's another thing that I think
yes,
is very, very toxic and seems to grip a lot of people that
yeah,
come and see me.
yeah.
But in a lot of conversations, there is almost this badge of honor of being able to do money well and being
Like being clever with money.
yeah, and in one conversation that I had with someone just at the weekend, it was a case of, yeah, but you've got to be wise with money, as if that's like a fundamental prerequisite for being a good human, a good human being is that you've got to be wise with money because the opposite which is being foolish with money, I'm
Mm.
assuming, is well, that's just a no-go area. And I'm like, how many people get tied up in this idea of wisdom?
Mm,
Which
mm,
for me, when I think of wisdom, I think of the sages and the
mm,
philosophers and all of this. And I'm like, what the freaking hell does that have to do with how
mm,
you do money? So let's let's maybe just change, track a bit and
mm.
just dive into that with the sort of remaining time we've got left. What are your thoughts on
Great.
that?
Yeah, yeah. It's a really good step. Yeah. So where we've got to so far is we can all be and all are intelligent, clever, and wise in different ways at different times, and we can all be stupid and foolish. And the best possible thing for our money and our life is to see and acknowledge and allow as much of that as possible. Then we'll tend to use it consciously, and then we can move our money, but also our lives. But you're absolutely right. I've had many people, it's almost like the opposite a little bit of what your investor trader friend was saying. What often comes up on the workshop is people who feel there's often one big decision they made with money that haunts them and they think proves that they're really stupid. So sometimes people just feel, I'm just stupid with money. Generally, I'm stupid. I don't get it. They
Mm,
imagine there's all those other people out there who get it, the
mm,
guys in suits, the traders, whoever, and I don't get it. And then sometimes it's a very specific thing, like I had some money and I didn't invest it well, and I'm stupid. And that can feel really heavy,
yeah.
really, really heavy. Often it's tied up with houses. I've noticed, particularly with houses, A, because it's a big chunk of money in people's lives. And
Mm.
we've all been whipped up, certainly in the UK in the last 30, 40 years, to think of a house not as a nice place to live, but as an asset and something that should grow. And that's another sickness.
Make smart decisions around
Smart. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you buy and when you sell it and all of
Yeah.
those,
All of
things
that
that
stuff. So sometimes let's take that example. So someone sells a flat because that seems like the sensible thing to do at that point in their life, and then maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later, they're in a situation and they don't have as much money as they might have done if they hadn't sold the flat or if they'd sold it a few years later. Okay, that's a factual numerical situation. They can say, if I had sold this flat 10 years later, I would have this much more money. All right, that's numbers, that's the money reality. And you could also say, I wish I had 200 grand more. That's all fine. But what people add on to that is, again, this I'm stupid. And that can feel very, very heavy. And also, it's like they're condemning themselves through one decision that they were stupid then, they're stupid now. It's almost like a curse they'll never get out of. And of course, what really paralyzes people in that moment is not actually that they've got less money than they would have if they'd sold a house at the perfect time. That's a real consideration, and we all have to deal with those facts. But what really paralyzes them is they're absolutely convinced that they're stupid because of this thing.
That haunts them.
It haunts them. And again, what we need to do in that situation is separate the fact that, yeah, you are stupid. And it's okay because we're all stupid. But you're not stupid because you decided to sell a house at a certain time. Or you're not stupid because you sold the house at the best time and then the market went up. How are you to know? You don't have a crystal ball. So you're stupid because you're human and we're all stupid, and that's okay. We've already talked about that. But the entanglement people make is the money went down instead of up, or I sold when I should have held on, or I held on when I should have sold, or whatever. And they pin their stupidity onto that, and then it feels like a weight they can never escape from. And the thing is, the most stupid thing about that is not that the money went up or down. It's not that they made a decision, because we go through life, we make decisions, and some are great and some don't work. The really stupid thing is that I'm convinced I'm stupid because of this, and it's condemning my life.
Yeah.
That's stupid because I don't need to do any of that.
Yeah. Ironic.
I could just be intelligent. I could go, I made a decision. It wasn't a great decision. I made it maybe because I was panicking, or I was rushed, or I didn't understand, or maybe it was just bad luck. Okay, I feel a bit sad. I wish I had more money. Well, then you don't have to carry on being stupid. The intelligent thing to go is go, oh yeah, that happens. I am stupid. Now, how do I engage with this situation?
Yeah. See it all the time. People maybe buying property and stuff like that. It didn't turn out to be a great investment, and then they're plagued by that decision for years and years, and it almost stops them from making further decisions or
Totally.
or taking part in the system.
Yes.
And I think we've been quite balanced that we're not foolish about money, and we're in a financial system, and you have to invest and partake in order to grow your money, and there are all of these things that are going on. And granted, some of them are quite complex to understand. We don't live in a very easy system. But again, I think people then project onto that, well, I can't partake because I'm not clever, or I did this and I did that. And I see a lot as well. Then what happens is it causes almost like a paralysis.
It does. Yeah, that's exactly right.
With a lot of people, and then they can't move forward with. I'm going to use the money. They can't move forward in the money path, so they can't do anything to move their number because they're in fear, and they also don't do anything on their life path either. And so you're caught in this situation where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you've got this narrative.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen that. I see it all the time.
Yes, exactly right. In this case, exactly as you describe, something happened, or it may just be a general underlying thing about, I don't think I can do money, so I never look at it. But I still feel, I think you're right, I get very paralyzed. Then I can't really make decisions about the money I have. I can't really make decisions. So often people then get really stuck. And the only stupid thing about that, as I say, is you're stuck and inactive and passive and feeling bad about yourself just because of some random thing that happened, or because you haven't been particularly well educated about money. But that's okay. You don't have to make that paralyze your life. In that case, so let's just take, I think we can take one or two more steps as we come to a close. Just like your trader friend, Sounds like this trader person was very invested in the story that I'm intelligent and rather threatened by the idea I'm stupid when their number goes down. What we're describing now is the flip. Someone that actually is very invested in I'm stupid, I can prove I'm stupid, I sold at the wrong time, or I bought at the wrong time, or I can't do money. They're very in touch with that, although they don't feel great.
Yeah.
They're out of touch with their intelligence.
Yeah.
So for those people, if you're listening to this and you feel haunted by in inverted commas, stupid money decision, or a feeling that I'm stupid with money,
Mm.
I would really encourage you to think, well, maybe you made a decision that didn't work out. And maybe there are things you don't understand or you haven't been that interested in or no one explained to you. That's okay. And you are stupid because I'm stupid and Shabba's stupid and everybody's stupid. That's okay. But please don't use any of that to think you're not intelligent, because you are. And that can be very important. And people often don't believe that. So please don't invest in this story of your stupidity any more than any of us. We're all stupid. But think about the places in life you are intelligent. Even if you're intelligent in other areas or at other times, see your own intelligence
Yeah.
and then use your intelligence as much as your stupidity to navigate or move forward.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
so important.
Very important.
And
Yeah.
just by nature, we are intelligent beings. So even if you
Of
don't
course.
like just our own existence as a form of intelligence in this, vast universe, like you've got to
Yeah.
just acknowledge that there's like a crazy amount of intelligence just within you, like
Yeah.
whether you've
Yeah.
realized it or not, or express it or not. And I think that's so important. But also just to a plug for a couple of episodes ago, this idea of well, I'm stupid with money, etc., can be from a one-off event. It can be a very like a
That's
chronic
right.
underlying thing, often passed down generationally. So, for anyone who's sort of like trying to piece all of this together and maybe get to the source of their stupidity, or why they feel that way, check out the episodes that we did on parent-child.
Parents and children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that will shed a huge amount of light onto maybe just why you're stuck in that particular way of thinking. And once you break free of that, I think it opens up a world of possibility to just embrace both sides, and move forward, and get out of this sort of paralysis that a lot of people find
Yeah.
themselves in.
It's really, really important. I'd love to hear from people listening to this. If you're working with, maybe we do a follow-up, because I think it's really important. Can I offer one or two
Yeah.
kind of thoughts to bring this all together, and then we'll see if there's a step for people. What we often talk about on this podcast is, if we're not money-centered, if we don't put money at the middle, at the center of life, what would we put? Let's put our life at the center, because it's not about the money. It's just so many of these emotions and fears and judgments get tied up with money. So I think it's really useful, anyone listening, to think, well, I may have stories about I'm intelligent because number goes up, or I may have stories about I'm stupid because number went down, or I lost money. Well, all right, that's money-centered stuff. But maybe consider, and this ties into wisdom that you were talking about, from a life point of view. If I put life itself, feeling vital and connected and in relationship and in touch with what's truly meaningful, what is intelligent and what is stupid there? And often it flips. So I'd really get people to think about this. Is it intelligent, if I want to put life, my life and the whole of life at the center, is it intelligent just to follow the number or maximize the number, or do something that isn't full of life for me, but it makes my number go up? Well, maybe that's stupid. Maybe it's not intelligent. So it looks intelligent in a money paradigm or a money logic, but maybe that's actually a bit stupid. And the opposite is true. If I do things that really further my life and bring me life and express whatever it is I feel I'm here to do, but as a consequence, my number goes down, or I do things that other people judge as stupid, well, maybe that's really intelligent. So there's a sort of paradox here. As soon as we put life at the center, we're still stupid and intelligent, right? Um, but it's not to do with a number. So here we are, we're all alive, we're on this planet, we have this life. As far as we know, we're only here while we're here. Surely the intelligent thing to do is just make the most out of my life. If I know I could die any moment, if I know nothing's certain, and if there are things in my heart and my soul that I long to do, surely the really intelligent, wise thing is to do them. And surely the really stupid thing to do, and it's okay to be stupid because we all are, but surely the really stupid thing to do is focus so much on a number that I don't really follow my life. My summary is we're all intelligent, we're all stupid. That's great. It's not to do with a number. And if you put what's truly meaningful in life at the center of your thinking, then actually what looks intelligent and what's stupid might almost flip or reverse in a rather strange way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally on board with that. I think putting life at the center of life seems like a wise thing to do.
Doesn't it?
And so yeah, what practical things can someone do if there was a takeaway from today?
One is, if you have a story that you're stupid with money, either because of a particular dramatic event or just generally, I would really encourage you to see that you're just as stupid, no more, no less, as everyone else, regardless of how much money they have, how much pension, or
Mm,
when they did or didn't sell or buy something. And I would really encourage you to pay attention to and respect all the places in life now, in the past, that you're intelligent.
mm,
So that would be one step. You could do a little reflection on that.
mm,
And the other is for everybody listening, I would encourage you to spend some time this week reflecting on what is real intelligence and wisdom
mm,
if I focus on life, if I focus on what I really want from life, not what a money centered society would have me think I must have or should have, because that points towards wisdom.
yeah, great takeaways. And I also quite like the maybe looking at counter examples. So out in
Yeah.
the world, who do we see that's got big numbers, is making their money grow, like, seems to have it all together when it comes to doing money right? Yet how much intelligence and wisdom do they, display in the outside world? And you can see that there isn't really there isn't a correlation with that, because we can see some, wealthy people and people without money who are both intelligent and stupid, and they all go hand in hand, don't they?
Absolutely. And so let me just build on that one more step is out in the world. Yeah, we often see people who have big money numbers, but they maybe make apparently very stupid decisions in their personal lives or in their
Yeah,
relationships, or you can almost see the ways in which they're not being intelligent. And you can also see the opposite. Just notice in your daily life people who, all right, because of their situation or the jobs they've chosen or the way society rewards different people, they don't have much money, but they show tremendous wisdom. Again, I'm thinking of people in the NHS
yeah,
or people in all sorts of different professions, teachers, artists, many, many,
yeah,
many professions. They show an incredible intelligence in their area about the world, relationships, certain understanding of things that are like incredibly useful. Well, they don't have much money.
yeah,
But let's not miss that that can be true intelligence. Or as you say, maybe someone just living a humble but actually very content life in good relationship with themselves and those close to them. You're telling me that isn't intelligent? It looks pretty. When I look at the world, if I see someone who is content, good in themselves, in good relationship, I'm like, well, that's a real life intelligence, and it has nothing to do with money, actually.
perfect place to wrap up, I think.
Great.
See you next time, Tim.
Cheers, Shabba. See you soon.